Hey guys, welcome back. Haven't been here in a little bit, so it's nice to get back and see all the craziness that's going on right now, and changes that are happening, and prospective changes that are happening, and just kind of where do we go from here? Mark? What's one of the things you're hearing a lot now from the agents?
How am I going to get paid?
How am I going to get paid?
That is the question that I'm hearing a lot of. I'm hearing a lot of distracted people ask. Those that are out and are having productive first quarters this year, because we've come up the end of the first quarter. I'm not really hearing that question out of the folks that are productive, because they're out there just doing what they've always done. But that's not to say that the question is not a relevant question, because it is. But the question I'm hearing a lot is, how am I going to get paid now that the rules that National Association of Realtors has tentatively agreed to are going to play down with brokerages playing in the sandbox together. And that's ultimately what it is we as brokers represent various parties. We have buyers and sellers. And how are we going to get paid? And the traditional way of getting paid is going to be going away, or at least the traditional way of acknowledging compensation and advertising that compensation is going to be going away.
So before we really get started on that, this will be a little bit of a regurgitation of probably what everybody's already heard, but could you give like a 1-minute synopsis of what has happened for the one person out there that doesn't understand what you're saying?
Sure, and I think it's more than one, because a lot, this podcast is viewed by folks that are not necessarily in the real estate industry. So for those who don't know, we're talking about the NAR settlement when it comes to seller compensation or seller offering of compensation to buyers. And basically what National Association of Realtors and many other firms were, class action lawsuit was filed, and the ultimate decision or concessions that were made by the National Association of Realtors was that one, all buyer agency agreements must be in writing prior to showing property and prior to getting into an agency relationship. Number two is offer of compensation to a buyer's agent can now no longer be, you can no longer utilize the vehicle of the MLS to offer compensation to a buyer's agent. And I clarify that you not use NAR, National Association of Realtors, or subsidiary owned MLS to the vehicle to advertise that. And for those of you who don't know, that's really truly what has been the biggest value proposition of MLS is for a long time. They've got two value propositions. They've got data, and they've aggregated this data to allow us to search it, make it easy for the members to search and drill down and help our clients. But the second is it gave rules to real estate brokerages, real estate agents, on how they're going to play together in the sandbox.
It was like a contract between the two agents.
Correct. So basically it just said that, if you're a listing broker and you offer cooperative compensation to a buyer's broker that is not in your firm, that if you put that in the MLS, you're contractually obligated to pay that if the deal goes through, right? But now that's going away. So a big value proposition, or a big part of the MLS value is going to be stripped away with this ruling, because you're not going to be allowed to offer that compensation inside the MLS or any of the vehicles that the MLS provides.
So herein lies the question. Because I'm a buyer's agent, and you're not allowed to put this in the MLS anymore, so how am I going to get paid, like you said?
Ultimately, that logistics, how that works, I think is still left to be determined. You've got some big players in this data game, and I think they're going to figure it out. You've got the CoStar Group, which is probably the biggest data company in the real estate world, whether it be commercial, residential. And then you have CoreLogic, which is another big player. And I think, not necessarily, and there's more of them, but those are just two of the biggest. I think that they're going to figure out a medium of being able to get down to it, because as we're going to talk through this, I personally do not think that the way business is being done is going to dramatically shift. I think ultimately we end up similarly where we were. It's just through a medium that is not controlled by the world's largest trade organization, the National Association of Realtors. Mm-hmm. So, but the whole adage is, how am I going to get paid? What, as a buyer's agent, most real estate agents out there are not listing agents. Most real estate agents are buyer's agents, because when you look at the sheer numbers, it's the whole 80-20 rule. 80% of the listings are being controlled by 20% of the real estate agents out there. So there you got 80% of the real estate agents that are not in the listing game. They're in the buyer game. So they're all frantic. How am I going to get paid? What am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And first thing I want to say, stop freaking out. Mm-hmm. Don't freak out. Calm down. First of all, the rules haven't even been adopted yet. Don't think they are. I mean, I think they are going to be, so that's not a big player in it. But ultimately, if you strip down and look at it, the way we've been doing business is very efficient. It's very effective. It works in how money flows back and forth, and who has the money, who doesn't have the money, and representation is needed. So ultimately, I really do think we stay to a similar sort of way of doing business.
Yeah. So before I jump into anything any further, I want to step back, because you mentioned something. We have other people that listen to us outside of the real estate industry.
Right.
So we're hearing a lot of this. So I want to hit you with this question that may be a little bit tougher. I'm not in the real estate industry, and I'm getting ready to sell my house. And I'm seeing all these headlines out there, and realtors are being overpaid, and they've set the price on this and this, that, and the other. And I'm getting ready to list my house, and you're going to be my listing agent, and you come to me and you say, hey, I'm going to list it for X, and basically we're going to co-broker for this amount as well. Well, Mark, I don't want you to that. I'm paying you. I'm not paying anybody else. And that's the mindset that's kind of out there right now. Why am I overpaying for this? So how do we address that to the consumers out there?
I mean, it's very complex, but it's very simple. It's supply and demand. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at the seller, and I'm going to look them square in the eyes and be like, you brought me here for what reason? Why did you ask me to come into your house today to sit down with you and talk to you? What is your goal?
To sell my house at the best price I can get.
Right. You want me to help you go through this process of selling your house, and you are tasking me with getting the best terms for this sale that you could possibly get. That is price, that is time frame, that is all aspects of it, repair negotiation, everything. You're tasking me with assisting you with bringing together this phenomenally packaged deal that is most advantageous to you, right?
Yep.
Okay. So let's back up a second and let's look at who me as a listing agent, my job is to put your house in front of the people that could potentially purchase your house. Mm-hmm. All right? So my goal is to get as many people interested in your house as possible, because to get the most favorable terms for you, I've got to entice a lot of people's motivations and interest in your house, because when more people are interested in your house, your terms are going to be much more favorable than if there's not many people interested in your house, right? Because if you only have one person interested, you're negotiating with one person. If you've got 15 people interested, you've now got the ability to feed off of 15 different interests. So that's the goal, right? We're not going to argue with that. That's a pretty self-sufficient or self-notified fact. The next piece is, okay, when we're looking at the pool of people looking to purchase the average home, your home, 85 to 90% of the people that are going to be interested in your home are going to be getting a mortgage, right? You got a mortgage, and the person that's buying your house is most likely going to be getting a mortgage to buy your house. They're not sitting there with a pile of cash.
Right.
And so in those people that are getting mortgages, a real high percentage of those people are either getting a government loan or a conventional loan. There is like a very small sliver that's getting this really weird loan that's not a government loan or a conventional loan. And when you break down, let's talk about the government loans for a second. That's FHA, that's VA, that is USDA. For the most part, these people are utilizing these loan products because they don't have a tremendous amount of cash. And so they don't have a lot of money to be able to put into this, but they're qualified in their income. They make good money. They just aren't sitting on a whole lot of liquid cash. So them coming to the table to buy your house, they want representation. They need somebody to represent. You want someone to represent the buyer to make this transaction go smoothly, to make sure that it is not run amok. So they come to the table, or they come in, they look at your house, and you're saying, I'm not offering cooperative compensation. I'm not going to pay your real estate agent. You, Mr. Buyer, are going to be responsible because they're representing you to pay their commission. Well, unfortunately, they don't have the money to do that. So you have literally just taken that group of people and you've said, nope, you're not coming to look at my house because you've got to pay your buyer agent. Well, they physically and do not have the money to be able to do it. So they're gone. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the conventional loans. The other big slosh of those. Most of those people are putting 10 to 15% down. Some of them will do 20% down, but the large majority is in that upper end. And these are people that are, to get to that 15%, they are scraping, scrounging, pulling every different which way they can to get that money. They're taking loans against 401ks. They are getting gift letters from family members. Whatever it is, they are scrounging to get this money together to be able to buy this house because prices have inflated so much, right? Mm-hmm. Prices have risen so much. You're now going to tell them that you're not offering compensation to their broker. They need representation. Well, guess what? The rules currently do not allow for them to build that into their mortgage. So they can't just say, okay, we'll just add it to the mortgage and we'll pay our broker. They don't have the money. Oh, they're gone. You're now sitting with maybe 10% of the pool of people that want to buy a house. And guess what? Your motivation, your interest level has just dropped, which means your price has dropped, which your terms have dropped, which means you not paying a small percentage of their buyer broker has cost you 10% in a reduction of purchase price because your interest is not there. You lose on this deal by saving, you lose 10% by saving, a smaller percentage by paying a buyer broker. You lose.
And I want to point out something because here's the thing. Everybody thinks they know everything for the most part. Most people are like, yeah, I've got this. I can handle this. And it's the same thing when we go through a market where it's like, hey, everything's selling. I can just kind of sell my house on my own because there's not that much there. And that person doesn't realize, and there's stats out there, NAR have done these numbers, that a person selling their own house as a for sale by owner in that market does not make as much money as they can selling it with a real estate agent. So the same thing applies here. That said homeowner that's selling their house that goes, you know what? I don't care. You can push those mortgage people out. I'm going to sell for this, and I may not get that 10%. But they don't know that. They don't see that because all they see is that final number.
Right. So we just went through this role play. And back to the whole crux of this is, how am I as a buyer agent going to get paid? Mm-hmm. You're going to provide value. Mm-hmm. You're going to stop. There's no crazy thing that we're going to put in place. You're going to start providing. We have been beating this drum for 2 years, 3 years. It's about providing value. In this market, professionals are going to get paid. Amateurs are going to find another job. Mm-hmm.
And we're already seeing that.
100%. Professionals will get paid. Amateurs are going to go do something else because they can't afford to do it. It's all about articulating your value to your buyer. If you as a buyer agent feel that your value is X, well, then you charge X and you articulate it to them. And for the most part, they'll be willing to compensate you if and where a potential listing falls short of what you think your value is, right? And so it's important as buyer agents that you are looking into what you are doing, and you are crafting your conversation with your clients that highlights what you're going to do for them. It's more than just opening doors. If you are just going to open doors and you have access to information, guess what? They have access to information. They have access to the ability to open a door. If that's what your value is, then you are going to be the Uber of real estate agents, right? And I think that that's kind of where the industry's headed. I really do. We've talked about it for so long, you know, in the investment arena, where you have certified financial planners and people that are out there looking out for your best interest, for helping you build wealth and making sure your assets are protected. And then you have Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade or whatever penny, you know, trade company there is, and they both serve different clients. They're there. They have a very needed situation. They have a very needed product, but they serve two different clients. And in the real estate world, we really haven't had two different products. We really have had one product with a similar price. And so I think what you're going to find is those that do not want representation or do not want expertise to help them out, they're only looking at this from the expense side, are going to have an option. There's going to be an option for them, and they're going to pay a much lower price. And that's okay. And that should not scare the professional real estate agent. Who it should scare is the amateur real estate agent who has been receiving a premium for their product and their service they've been providing, and ultimately the market's going to relegate them to what their value truly is, which is a lot less than what they're being paid. And I think you're going to see a clear delineation of that over the next 3 to 5 years. I don't see any other way of doing it, because if not, your technology companies are going to provide it at that price, and they're gonna cut out the need for the human in there. So
I want to add one other thing as well, and this I'm going to talk to the listing agents at this point, because what Mark talked about, the reason why you need that co-broker on the other side, on top of articulating your value and everything else, you're going to need to articulate the reason to have a partner, a co-broker, to the homeowner you are getting ready to help out. You've got to be able to educate from that standpoint, because you are a stakeholder in this deal as well. You want to get that property sold at the top value as quickly as possible as well. So that therein lies another piece of information that we need to be articulating while we're out there navigating through this.
100%, no doubt. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather, as a professional in this business, I would much rather have a deal that was a competent person on, and competency is in the arena of real estate sales is a huge plus, versus someone coming to the table and saying, "Hey, I represent myself." Okay, fantastic. I'm interested in this house. Okay, great. I want to buy the house. Okay, well, present me with an offer. Well, can you send it to me? No, you're representing yourself. Present an offer. Well, I don't have an offer. Okay, well, go see an attorney that can help you draw it up. Well, they're going to charge me $2,000 to draw up an offer. Okay, you're representing yourself. This is where you reside. And then, well, what if we don't get it? Well, then you're going to pay your attorney $2,000 for drawing up the offer. Well, that's not fair. Well, the world we're living in, and it just gets back down to, then you need to get representation. If you want someone to advocate for you and put all the stuff together, then you need to be willing to go down that road. It's this whole
You hit the nail on the head. At the end of the day, people won't change until change happens. And they were like, oh, wait a second. I didn't know that was going to change.
Correct. and that's unfortunately what the consumer's getting ready to. They're being told they need this. They're being forced that this is what you need. But then when you pull back the covers of what it's actually going to look like, they're going to be like, well, we don't want that.
Exactly.
We want the way it was before. And ultimately, I think that's where it goes, because the system itself worked. Were there flaws in the bureaucracy or the dictation of how things happen? Sure, we can argue those things down. But ultimately, the overarching system that was set up, it works. And I think it's going to play itself out where it's a similar process, just facilitated in different ways and different logistics when it comes to how those communication of compensation are going to happen.
Yep. So at the end of the day, don't fret. Know your value. Articulate your value. Articulate the fact that we need to all work together. We've got a partner in this. And just keep doing what you're doing out there. You do a good job. Keep doing it.
Yeah, practice. It's the one thing that's going to change is the conversations that you're having with potential clients, and it's important for you to be confident in those conversations. Be confident in your value, because you're going to have them. The world is forcing those conversations on us. And it's important. It's going to set you apart. You have that conversation really well versus someone who doesn't. You're going to get the business. They're going to be sitting there holding wheel work, looking for a different job. Mm-hmm. So, guys, we appreciate it. Again, we're going to be talking about this not all the time, but it is a big part of our world. Ultimately, this business is not going to change a ton. Continue to hone your skills in these conversations, but also don't forget what your real job is, which is lead generation, converting and having conversations with sphere of influence. That's how you get paid.
Highly serving your clients.
Yeah. And so back to the old question, how am I going to get paid? Serve your clients, provide value, you'll get paid, I promise.
If y'all have any questions, let us know. We'd love to answer any questions or talk about any of the other topics around this. So just stay in touch and we'll continue next time.